Indiana's prehistory is very interesting. It all starts with the fossil types, the main of which being in the Paleozoic era, including the Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous, Permian, and then going on to the Cenozoic times of Tertiary and Quaternary. The main rock types are sedimentary, like sandstone, limestone, and shale. Maybe some mud, but there was a little bit of igneous rocks too. It can be inferred that there was a shallow sea state covering certain areas of Indiana based on the presence of trilobite fossils. During the Paleozoic era, Indiana was near the equator. This can be seen from the fossils of abundant marine life.
Now, two of the main big fossils found in the Cenozoic period were the mammoths and mastodons. There are many differences between these two that many people do not know about. Mammoths, for one point, originated in Africa, and mastodons originated in North and Central America. Mastodons were slightly smaller in stature, with shorter legs and lower, flatter heads. And mammoths had fatty humps on their backs which provided nutrients. Mastodons had cone-shaped cusps on their molars, designed for crushing leaves, twigs, and branches, where mammoths had rigid molars that allowed them to cut through trees and bushes and graze like elephants nowadays. One of the main mastodon findings is known as the Choleric Mastodon Site. What they found at the site were macrofossils, which provided refinements of late glacial and early Holocene vegetational records for northwestern Indiana. Finding the mastodon helped scientists pinpoint what types of vegetation and types of pollen were present back 12,000 to 9,500 years ago.
A bog is one of the four main types of wetlands. Over time, it accumulates peat, which is basically the collection of dead plant materials like mosses, while a boneyard is where dead animals deposit and accumulate. So the main difference between a bog and a boneyard is that a bog contains plants, while a boneyard contains animals. So now for a specific timeline, starting with the Cambrian, one of the main types of organisms was the trilobites. Going into the Ordovician period, one of the main types of organisms was cephalopods. Now in the Devonian period, a new emergence was brachiopods. In the Carboniferous period, there was an arrival of arthropods, and in the Tertiary time period, there was fossils of the short-faced bear found. Finally, in the Quaternary, we find the mammoth and the mastodon. There are two different ways we can look at specific types of fossils, one being looking at a specific time period. For example, in the Devonian period, which was during the Paleozoic era, and right before the Carboniferous period, we can see highlights of the first adaptive radiation of terrestrial life, which basically means that organisms began to diversify rapidly at this time. One of these types of organisms was arthropods. Also, plants began to evolve, forming the first seed-bearing plants and eventually forests in Indiana. Another way we can look at fossils is a specific type. For example, arthropods. These are invertebrate animals that have a segmented body, jointed appendages, and an exoskeleton. For example, spiders and scorpions are modern examples of arthropods.
Now, two other really cool animals that were present during the mastodon and mammoth time were the saber-toothed cat and the dire wolf. The saber-toothed cat was really known for its long teeth, which were actually very brittle, and they had weak jaws. To kill their prey, they would climb to low branches of trees and pounce on their prey, and bite them in the neck and wait until they bled out. They also lived in packs and went extinct around 10,000 years ago. Now, the dire wolf was about 25% larger than the biggest dogs alive today, and 25% heavier than the largest gray wolves today. They also used their molars to crush bones of their victims. Some tests that scientists use today that help label fossils are radiometric dating, which helps them tell how old the fossils are. They also use direct observation that can be used to tell whether there is fur or scales on these animals. The main difference between fossilization and petrification is fossilization is the replacement of organic material with mineral material in the remains of an organism, where petrification is a process in which minerals fill in original pore spaces of organic material with minerals, causing the organic material to turn into stone.
In 2005, scientists claimed to have found the first fossil containing samples of soft tissue. There was controversy as to how there could possibly have been any soft tissue that hadn't been degraded after so many years. However, they say that the remaining tissue can be explained by the presence of iron. Iron can protect cells from unwanted reactions, so when an organism dies, it is possible for the iron to act in a manner similar to formaldehyde in preserving tissues and proteins.
Now, 3 hypotheses of the reasons of mass extinction are the Ice Age, the Flood, and human hunting to extinction.